Hello everyone, welcome to another insightful episode of our special podcast series, Future of Growth. In this episode, we are honored to have Dr. Arvind Subramanian, the former Chief Economic Advisor to the Government of India and a distinguished member of the Economic Advisory Council to the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. With a rich background in international economics and a stellar record of public service, Dr. Subramanian brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise to our discussion on Tamil Nadu's economic landscape, challenges, and potential strategies for growth. Join us as we delve into key economic issues, policies, and the trajectory of Tamil Nadu's development, guided by the insights of a renowned economist and thought leader. Professor, I'd like to start our conversation with this question on this $1 trillion economy. The roadmap to this 1 trillion is multifaceted. What can prompt Tamil Nadu towards this by 2030?
Yeah, see, I think the roadmap spells out a list of sectors that can be developed further to reach the goal. My own feeling is that what's going to be important is the follow-up of the government. And I think the follow-up has to be at two levels, right? I think one is just, attracting all this investment and doing whatever needs to be done to attract this investment. So kind of, let's call it a project-oriented, investment-oriented, set of actions the government has to take. But I think the part that I would like to emphasize that maybe it doesn't come out as much in this kind of gym-type setup is what are the kind of other things, complementary things that the government has to do in order to sustain, not just attract this investment, but sustain it and ensure that it gets translated into a lot of good things. And I think that's the part that is going to be as important or more important than, just to give you one example, as you know, I wrote a report on the power sector. Now, if you want to attract renewables into Tamil Nadu, which I think is a very desirable thing, then they have to strengthen the institutions. Tangetco, for example, has to have a much healthier balance sheet, or whatever institutions they're going to create has to have a healthy balance sheet, which means reforming the institutions will have to be also very important. So the way I put it is that, we have 22nd century goals and aspirations, but some of the institutions and policies are still 20th century. And that needs to be, upgraded as well.
Professor, can we say that this would be like the top of the priority list that needs attention?
Yeah, I would, exactly. And it could be a whole bunch of, for example, the BCG report said, one of the reasons that Tamil Nadu is underperforming in attracting, the talent into these GCC type centers, into the IT sectors, is because the social infrastructure is in Tamil Nadu is kind of lags behind Bengaluru, Pune, Mumbai, NCR, Hyderabad. So there are lots of things the government may have to do to kind of make Chennai competitive with or attractive enough relative to these places. So that's also something that they will have to do.
Professor, now that you mentioned about GCCs, how do you see the role of global capability centers in Tamil Nadu contributing to economic growth, and what policies can foster their development?
You see, what I've been struck by on the GCC thing is why Tamil Nadu has not been as, attractive and competitive. That's to me the prior question. For example, I used to follow this unicorn data, how many unicorns have come into India and where have they located? And Tamil Nadu has underperformed on that. Right. Similarly, on the global capability centers, Tamil Nadu seems to have underperformed. So when you say, government is going to do stuff so that's very laudable. But the key point is that have we identified why we missed out in the first place, and then identify those factors and then work on those factors. I think that's going to be the key to kind of attracting investments into these GCCs.
Professor, Tamil Nadu is always known as a manufacturing hub, and now there is so much focus on advanced manufacturing. How do you think the state can take this to its advantage?
No, I think if anything, as you said, Tamil Nadu has always been associated as a manufacturing state. And I must say, there, the kind of investments that are coming into some of these new sectors is very good. But I just want to push back at the notion that everything has to be advanced. I think we still need to provide, a lot of jobs for a lot of relatively poor and unskilled people. So that's why I don't think this should become an either or. It should become, we should get low-skill manufacturing, maybe advanced manufacturing, global capability centers. Everything has a kind of rightful place in Tamil Nadu's economy.
Professor, it's a very, very interesting observation that you made about low-skilled jobs also. How can Tamil Nadu as a state use that to its advantage also?
Well, you see, take clothing, textiles, apparel. Tamil Nadu has been, one of the leaders in this, but it's mostly cotton-based apparel and exports. But the future in the global economy is all man-made fibers. And that's part, we need to expand because that's going to provide a lot of jobs. Similarly, footwear, again, it's all artificial. And in fact, Tamil Nadu has attracted some very good investments, from Vietnamese investors and so on. I think if we can do more of that along with this, and then, of course, you're getting all these Tata, Foxconn kind of investments. And to me, the fact that they're going to be assembly operations is actually a good thing, not a bad thing, because it means a lot of people are on the assembly line now, and that's what we need. And so that part of it, I think we need to not neglect. I think that's. But Tamil Nadu has been good at that, and as I said, to me, what is very surprising and encouraging is, in order to be able to competitive internationally, because we want to capture export markets, I think we have to kind of attain scale. The scale of operation has to be big, and the fact that now we're seeing investments here that are employing 15, 20,000 people and more is kind of an encouraging sign, because that means we can be competitive internationally.
Professor, now that you mentioned about scale, the thought that came to my mind is about the large female workforce the state boasts of. Do you think these two can complement each other?
Yeah, absolutely. The whole, when I used to work for the government in New Delhi, I really wanted to emphasize the clothing and the footwear thing, precisely because they are also very, in clothing, it's like 80% of the labor force is women. Similarly, in footwear, 80% is women, or some high number. And so so in these things, you don't need to have a gender-specific policy, because the sector itself is gender-specific. So if you get the sector, you get the female employment, and that automatically follows. So you don't have to say, I'm going to do something special, or it kind of happens organically, and that's the beauty of some of this thing, so that you get a lot of female employment.
Absolutely, Professor. There's nothing like creating a conducive environment that can create organic jobs. Moving to a different subject, Professor. How can the state government balance its fiscal responsibilities while addressing the demands for more decentralized governance through local body financing?
This is a very age-old question in India. It's true in Tamil Nadu, it's true everywhere as well, that how much you should decentralize and how much you should, allow these local bodies to also raise their own financing and things like that. See, here I think the big part of it is these urban local bodies, Greater Chennai Corporation, etc., etc., and there. The current model seems to be everywhere in Tamil Nadu is that we've kind of neglected this, and we've got into a kind of negative spiral where these urban bodies, they don't have financing, so services they don't provide effectively, and because they don't provide, they can't also tax these, because people say, why should I pay property taxes because I'm not getting anything? So we're all in this kind of vicious cycle, and there has to be a way of breaking out of this cycle, because I do think that if you're going to devolve expenditure responsibilities to these things, you must also make them raise revenue. So it can't be a model where Chennai is spending based on money coming in from the state government, right? So there has to be a model, because that's when the incentives get more aligned. And there are very few cities in India that have really kind of reached a position where they raise their own money, or a substantial part of it, not all of it, of course, a substantial part of it, and then you get this, the positive loop. You raise money, you deliver better services, then you're able to raise more money, and that kind of thing. And of course, municipal financing, bond financing is another way forward. But we have to get out of this current trap where it's kind of like an aid model. They depend upon the central government for aid, and then the incentives get badly aligned.
Professor, now that you mentioned about tax, the theory that closer the government is to its people, the less likely they are to tax has been observed. So what implication does this have for fiscal policies of states like Tamil Nadu?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, the big what it means is that decentralization cannot become a mantra as decentralized, unless you get also this get local governments to be able to raise money in order to provide services. So to me, therefore the lesson is, if you're going to have decentralization, which I think is a desirable objective, the revenue expenditure match has to be also thought about more carefully.
Professor, what measures would you recommend to enhance the competitiveness of Tamil Nadu in attracting investments and fostering economic growth?
See, I think the first thing is, of course, to create a good investment climate, which means, investors can come, feel confident that they can come in, and also feel confident that they can leave. So I think, as I mentioned in the talk, it's not just entry but exit, and that's why I think Vishnu from Guidance made this very good point that when I think Ford left Tamil Nadu, it was easy for them to leave, and that's, I think, a sign that Tamil Nadu pays a lot of attention to offering a good investment climate, not just for entry but for exit. There will have to be some incentives given for some sectors, targeted incentives. But overall, I do think that if the state can show that its finances are stable, it can show that it's having sensible policies, and in a number of places the institutions will really have to be strengthened much more. And I think so that combination is what is needed to attract investment.
So what do you think is working in favor of Tamil Nadu, or what are its advantages?
I mean, the talent pool is very good. We have social peace, social stability here in Tamil Nadu. The bureaucratic machinery is also, very capable and competent. So all these things are what are going for Tamil Nadu. So and it's clear that and it's not just true now, it's been true for about 60, 70 years. And that's why Tamil Nadu is one of the richest states. It has one of the best welfare safety nets for the population. But Tamil Nadu did slip a little bit in the last 10 years, so now it has to regain that back. But it has a lot going for it.
Thank you, Professor. It was fantastic to have this conversation with you.
Thank you. Yeah.
As we conclude this insightful episode with Dr. Arvind Subramanian, we extend our gratitude for his invaluable perspectives on Tamil Nadu's economic journey. His deep insights into economic policies, challenges, and potential strategies provide a comprehensive understanding of the path ahead. We hope this discussion has sparked thoughtful reflections and considerations for the economic future of Tamil Nadu. So until our next episode, bye-bye, take care.
The future of growth.